You mean to say that the modernization is still not there in the heritage parts or the culture?
Yes, you see, our notion, the way we think about heritage is very, very colonial in attitude. This is what I say, it's, we think our heritage belongs into the past. Mm-hmm. And we just have to take care of it and preserve it for the future, as if I am not part of my culture. See, this is, in 1964, there is a thing called Venice Charter. Venice Charter is like not the Bible, it's like the rules and regulation of heritage management for the entire world. Mm-hmm. So it's a charter that we are signatory. We have, it's a UNESCO charter kind of thing. So it is the big thing about, if you become a student of mine, that's the first thing that you have to learn. How do they define heritage in Venice Charter? If you don't know Venice Charter, you know nothing about heritage. Right. So my point is, but when you carefully read Venice Charter, it says heritage belongs to the past, and the present generation are the caretakers of it for the future. Mm-hmm. This is the totally wrong attitude to look at heritage. No. That's the way the heritage is looked at in the West. See, for you and me, or if you walk in India or in Sri Lanka, heritage is right here, right now. On my way to the temple, I would worship at the temple. Indians do all these pujas. There are all these gods and deities at every corner. Heritage is not something that you do on the weekend. Or your religion is not something that you do on the weekend.
It's very much part and parcel of your
life. It's part and parcel of our lives. So, heritage is a process that lives right here. My job is not just to protect it for the future generation. So I am the presence is continuously excluded from the ownership of the heritage as such, or my right to interact with heritage is kind of taken away. I'm made the Dorotupalya or the guardian of heritage, yeah. But I'm not the consumer of my heritage. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So this now I'm part of this international group who are challenging this what we call the Western authorized discourse on heritage. No, heritage is a cultural process. It belongs right now, right here, to the people who are associated with it. It doesn't belong to the past, doesn't belong to the future. Of course, it belongs to the past and future, but it belongs more so to the present. So if you look at heritage in that sense, then heritage becomes a management issue. So if it belongs to the past, you just have to preserve it. There's no management as such. You get my point?
Yeah.
If it belongs to present, and all of us are consumers of that heritage, then it's a management issue. Mm. So heritage management is a subject that looks at these interests of a heritage. So that's the way that we have to look at heritage. Mm. It's a process. We develop our identities. We develop our collective histories and memories in relation to a heritage. Because you think of a village. Village will collapse very soon with the onslaught of globalization if you cannot develop collective memories and collective histories in a village, which are embodied in material situations like heritage. Maybe the village well, the oldest tree in the village. These are all heritage. So we need heritage because without a heritage, we lose our collective memory and the collective history. When a society loses collective histories, when a society loses its capacity to have collective memories and collective histories, those societies collapse. Right. So you need heritage management to sustain a village as such. By preaching village as this pristine place, it's not going to help. Has no sense, no meaning.
Right. Okay.
Because
is archaeology a branch of social sciences?
Good question. Yes, it is. Well, in some universities, it comes under humanities. In some universities, it comes under social sciences. I think in the University of Kelaniya, I must be punished for not remembering this for sure. I think it comes under humanities. But it could be either way. But what is more important is how come archaeology is science? Archaeology, I think that would be more useful to know. That's an institutional crisis, whether it's social science or humanities. But why archaeology a science? How could? Because we consider archaeology as a science, but we don't take anthropology as an objective science as such. Because I am the anthropologist, you are my subject, and so there are two human beings looking at each other. You are questioned, and I'm the questioner. I'm the one who is asking questions. So there's a political power relationship between us. So the space for objectivity can be questioned when you do anthropology as such. But when you do archaeology, we think, once again, it's a false notion, but the entire enterprise of archaeology is built on this notion. Okay, you have your archaeological data, which is mute. It may be pottery sherds, a nail, a stone tool, a bone, and all that. They don't talk for themselves. So those are material data. It's like you're like a physics person. You're in front of nature. So archaeology becomes a science because of that material data. You're dealing with material data because an archaeologist, as I said earlier, never meets the people, the society that it tries to study. We never meet Anuradhapura people now, no? But when you're an anthropologist, you do meet the people you're studying. So, but then again, this has been highly questioned. But when you dig and take archaeological data, even though they are coming from, say, 700 BC, but they are right in front of you on the 21st century. You are a product of the 21st century. You are a product of 21st century politics. You've been going through a university. You have your biases. You have your gurukulas, or the schools of thought, and that is you. And then, as the archaeologist, you have all this baggage on you. And in front of you, you have the archaeological data, which would have come from, say, 2,000 years before. But it's right now. It is in front of you. So it exists in the 21st century as much as the archaeologist is. So there is this major tension. There's all this philosophical crisis in it.
Right.
Where do they really belong to? So, okay, one school of thought to which I kind of subscribe, it belongs to today. It does not belong into that history as such. The moment you take it out, as long as you don't take it out, it belongs to that past. When you take it out, it belongs to today, because it will be read and interpreted by your politics, by your affiliation, by your aspiration. Say you want to be a great archaeologist. So you want to change the way that you think about history. If you are such an ambitious archaeologist, you might read so many things into these things. So,
Professor, when the time is running out, but before wrapping up, I just want to know, we talk all about the history, the great history that we have, and the Anuradhapura Kingdom, the Polonnaru, the Kandy, and when we come towards Colombo and the 20th century, the present, of course, we have a lot of great things to, the pressure, the war coming to and the elimination of terrorism and so many other victories. How do you see this when you compare the present and the past?
Good question. You see, most of this Colombo urban cultural elite, the thinkers, so-called, I find them very, very narrow-minded thinkers. We keep bragging about our past and the village of Anuradhapura. Those are great. We have a great past, but you and I meet because of 20th century. We have free education because of 20th century. We had great writers like Martin Wickramasinghe,
Senath Paranitha,
all this, and architects like Jeffrey Bawa, and artists like George Keat, and a president like Mahinda Rajapaksa. They are all 20th century productions. If you admire someone like Mahinda Rajapaksa, if you admire an artist like George Keat, you are also admiring the 20th century. Because without 20th century, none of us have been, we all got a free education. So, if you are a true citizen of Sri Lanka, one thing you have to do is to admire your own time. So 20th century is a great century. It gave us, major politicians like, if you are a Marxist, who gave N.M. Perera, or who gave Rohana Vijayveera, they are all 20th century. It's not Anuradhapura didn't give us those things. In Anuradhapura period, you couldn't have even think of a Rohana Vijayveera or an N.M. Perera as such. You know what I mean? So, it's a very cowardly thing to do, to think that 20th century is a mistake. No, 20th century is a great century. At least it made me. It gave me all this education.
If not the greatest.
If not the greatest. No, I think it's a great century. It's a century as any other.
Right, okay.
The past is not golden. That's a myth.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor. It was very informative. Today we had with us Professor Jagath Weerasingha, the director of the Postgraduate Institute of Archaeology, talking to us on the archaeological subject as a whole in Sri Lanka and the development of Sri Lanka. Thank you very much once again, Professor.
Oh, my pleasure to be with you here.
Okay, welcome. And with that, we wrap up this edition of Crossfire. Do join us once again next time around to this kind of a very informative interview. Till then, have a wonderful time.